Hello and welcome to Disc Jam Let's Talk. You've got myself, Apps, and Logan here
Hello.
to talk about a newish game released on November the 7th. And for us PlayStation players, we got this free as part of, well, I say free, we're paying £30 a year for this, but our PlayStation Plus games for the month of March. People were saying there was early betas that went out, and people come back saying, oh, it has the potential to be, a Rocket League of the way it is and whatnot. We streamed about an hour and a half's worth of gameplay and played it for about an hour. And you might say, well, how are you two sitting there making passing judgment on it after just an hour and a half? And I stand that and go, well, to be honest, there's not a lot to it. You don't need to be playing this for 12 hours to get an understanding of what the game is. So I guess the first thing off, this kind of notion that it could be the new Rockets, is there any truth to that, Logan, in your eyes, or is that is that paper talk, hype train bollocks?
I can see why it's been chucked out there as that,
Yeah.
but when I'm playing it, I was like, yeah, this could be good fun. I think unless they open that game up a little bit so that you can have a bigger field of play and somehow a point of view, your own point of view, basically in its current state, no, is the answer. It can't be because it's too limited, I think, in the way that we've got the gist of it after an hour and a half. I mean, you can get better with it, but Rockets is a real... You have to get better at that to be better, if that makes sense. So it takes a lot of practice, I think, that game.
Yeah.
And you can play that for 12 hours and still be dreadful, but it still be enjoyable. Whereas this, I mean, we were pretty good from... I say pretty good. We were reasonable from the word go. Once we got the hang of it, we were doing okay, I think. So I think I can see why people have said that. It's free, it's come out, and it's a similar sort of type of game in one way, but it's not going to be a big hitter like Rockets was for me.
No, I mean, for those that don't know what Disc Jam is, it kind of combines, I guess, in a way, air hockey and tennis. You have one or two characters. If you're playing two-player, it's doubles. If you're playing single-player, it's single. And you have this disc that you essentially throw, and you can throw it against the walls. And the aim is to hit the back wall or have the disc drop and hit the floor, and you get points based on that. And the points, depending on how long the rally goes, accumulate and get higher. So if you have a long rally and then you win it, you get a shitload of points. If you do it after one or two, back and forth, you don't get as many. But it incorporates things like curve. And doing drop shots, lob shots. You can block at the net, essentially. There's not a net, it's like a barrier, but you can block and knock the disc back on the other side. And there are specials, which I don't think we successfully pulled off in our time, but they look extremely difficult to defend against if you do manage to get a special, and that's to do with timing and whatnot. A lot of people compare it to the old game Windjammers, so those that are still struggling, that should give you a picture for what the game would have been played. It's not played from top down, it's played from behind, it's a third person perspective. I would agree with your assessment that it's not quite there as a Rockets. It had one arena, 4 or 5 characters? I'm not even sure if it...
Four,
to play against. They have different play styles, so, there's a big guy who was slow but could throw harder, evidently, although I didn't believe that as to be completely true. You had an all-rounder, you had a lady that was really quick but couldn't throw as hard, and then another lady who was a little bit slower but could throw wicked curves and whatnot. So you're kind of playing with different characters, but 4 characters, singles or doubles, online or local co-op or local competitive, and 1 arena. That's it. There's not a great deal there, is there? You can unlock new skins and whatnot, but in terms of just changing the aesthetic a little bit, there's no, Rockets launched with a few arenas at the very least, didn't it?
Yeah, it feels very one-dimensional. There's Rockets had different arenas with different sizes, and then they did a few different bits and bobs of it. I don't really know where they go with this. And I think you're right to point out that it didn't feel like there was an awful lot of difference between the characters. I think they need to be tweaked slightly. I mean, as I say, when I was a big guy, I didn't feel like I was throwing it particularly harder. The smaller characters do feel a bit quicker, but I don't really see where they go with it. No. It needs more depth, I think. You find it out pretty quickly. As I say, I think it is good fun when you're playing it, I think, but You couldn't sit there all day and then go back for more the next day. I think that's the problem with it.
Yeah. How did you find the actual moment-to-moment gameplay? Essentially you press X to throw the disc back, and you can choose a direction. You can press the R trigger right or R trigger or left trigger left, and curve it either way. You can do lob shots with square, and you can throw to your partner and kind of throw a decoy with circle. Was there enough there in terms of playing game to game that had you hooked to play more, or was you burnt out and done after the sort of hour and a half that we'd done? You've sort of sussed it.
I feel like I could master it a bit better. Sometimes I felt like I was just taking a gamble with what I was doing, and it works or it didn't, or it feels like it needs a little bit more there. I don't know, but it's after doing the training. I think we were sitting there doing the training, and we were sort of just trying to do some of the advanced stuff, and it's quite difficult. It's not very intuitive, if that makes sense. I can't see myself doing some of the moves with the analog stick during a game. It doesn't feel like it would work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the more advanced moves were tricky to pull off, and then you'll have people say, "Well, that's the game. You want to get good at advanced." But the trouble is, if you don't get to that stage where you can pull off advanced moves, which we obviously didn't in our hour and a half, is that you're at a level, and that's your level. There's no chaos there. There's no sort of X factor to throw that out. You get in your comfort zone quite quickly. Whereas in Rocket League, it's very dynamic what can happen. Obviously, that ball can bounce, and you never really know where the ball's going to bounce and how it's going to hit. So there's always that chance that you misjudge something. Whereas in this, I kind of felt like we got into our groove very, very quickly, and were, for the most part, obviously we lost a few games, but we were for the most part comfortable in the way we were playing without too much thought being put in.
Yeah, I felt like that. As I say, we did the first game, we just jumped in, we did the training, basic training, jumped straight into a doubles game. That was it. And we did pretty well against them. And from then on, I think we got drilled in one game. But other than that, we did okay. We worked okay as a team. Our shots were relatively good most of the time. I feel like we did good with the basics. There didn't feel like much of an incentive to master those advanced bits. It just felt like you can get away with the basics. So why do I need to overcomplicate it?
Yeah.
But whereas in something like Rocket League, there's always the one thing I've always wanted to do in that is learn how to rocket my car up and hit it midair.
Yeah.
Like there's that depth to it which you don't get on this. It's kind of one level. I'm either in the right spot or I'm not.
Yeah.
And that's the trouble with it. There's no real incentive to master the harder bits.
No.
I feel like we're slagging it off a bit here. We got it for nothing, and it was pretty enjoyable.
Yeah.
But I think when you're comparing it to something as successful as Rocket League, it's always going to be a bit of a downer for it.
Yeah, I mean, if we move away from Rocket League in particular, because that was a phenomenon, we don't expect that for every game that's released on the PlayStation monthly games, and it's also available on Windows as well if you want to go out and grab it. But yeah, I think if we look at the game just on its own, still as a game that you'd play, you're not going to play this on your own, are you? I don't think there's much reason for you to go right. I'm going to log on and play against some randoms on my own. I didn't get the vibe that I wanted to play without a person with or against that I knew.
No, I agree with that. Minimum 2.
Yes, minimum 2-player game, and I think it's got couch co-op there, which you can implement, which is always handy to have. There's no need for a split screen if there's only two of you, because you're both on the same screen. Would you like something? What could they do to make you maybe go back? Would you want something like they make the arena bigger and there's more players, so now it's 4v4 or something along those lines, or does it get? Am I just trying to overcomplicate it for the sake of giving it a chance?
I think it'd be good, but it'll just get too big and hectic. I think imagine doing like Rocket League all on one screen.
Yeah.
I hate to go back to that, but that's what you'd end up with, and it'd just be 8 people. It'd just be too. It just wouldn't work. So I think what Jay and Tim have gone for is basically what it can do.
Yeah.
I don't see the problem with it is, and I think that is the depth of it. I don't see where it goes from there. So I think it's been in development for about 18 months, and they've got to this point. The trouble is, unless they've got some grand plan for it, I don't see where they go with it.
Yeah, the thing about a game like this is it's crying out for a reason to keep playing, other than we've got to spare half an hour. It's great to have that, but I would I be tempted by a competitive season mode, perhaps? Where you rank up and rank down. probably more interested than just playing a few more random games.
Mm.
And I feel like they just put something like that in because where the gameplay for a certain amount of time is compelling, you want to feel like you're progressing or you're doing something worthwhile. The games end to end are good, but you're not. We're ranking up these. I think we're called rookie jammers or something like that. That's all well and good, but I really don't know why league tables aren't implemented like they are on, say, FIFA. You get those online cooperative seasons, don't you? Where you have a certain amount of points that you get, and that sort of stuff is these type of games. And even Rockets is guilty of this. Get something like that in there, and then perhaps you'd have me come back. But I guess the most damning thing about this, although I enjoyed it, I would never say it was bad what I played. I just have no urge to go back after 90 minutes of play.
No, and I would agree. As I say, I think I said to you, the only thing that I'd like to give a go on it is 2 against 2. So we get 2 other Dimp guys on there and play through it.
Yeah.
But again, after that, I'd just go, right, well, I'm done then.
Yeah.
That's a shame because it match made fine.
Well,
I say fine.
It took a little while sometimes, but yeah, we didn't get kicked out of any games.
We didn't. There wasn't much lag, and even if there was, it might have been my fault. So the experience was fine. It just was undramatic. I think is more the way to put it. It was good fun. We picked it up, we played it, and then it was done with.
Yeah.
And that's the problem for it is how do you sell that for 10, 15 quid?
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult. And had it let's be honest, had it not been as part of a March's download for PlayStation, not in a month of Sundays are we looking at that and going, let's pick that up and play it.
Oh, no chance.
And that's the trouble
Absolutely
that it might have. But it is what it is. It's obviously designed to launch as a freebie, and maybe they're planning to use the publicity or the money that Sony inevitably gave them to, have it for free that month to build it out and flesh it out a little bit more. But I still think the core mechanics there are good, but you do just get into a groove far too quickly for it to be interesting for longer than a couple of sessions of 2 hours essentially. After that, you've kind of sussed it out, and yes, there's advanced moves, but you don't need them for the most part, or we didn't.
Yeah.
And you're always going to get those people that are absolute animals at it, and I'm sure they developed a lot of time to go off and do that. But in a world where you want to just have to pick something up and play it perhaps once a week, I know the experience won't change if we go and play it again unless it's 4v4, and then after that, I'm done with it. But for those that haven't tried it, it's definitely worth going on with a mate and playing it. That's what I will say. I didn't regret spending the time playing it. That's one thing I definitely would put a stamp of approval on. Did not regret spending time on that Sunday morning, a little bit hungover playing this. I enjoyed my time with it. It's just that the time to go back with it isn't of interest to me.
Yep, agreed.
Well, there you go. That is Disc Jam laid out for you bare after 90 minutes of playing. People are going, oh, you can't. You can. You can. I just have.
Can, will, and done it.
Done it. So definitely go and play it if you've got a mate to play it with, or if you want to try it on your own. I wouldn't expect it to be taken off majorly. It is what it is. It's good for the initial playthrough, and maybe it'll hook you, but for us guys, I don't think it quite hooked us as much as we would have perhaps liked or hoped. But and then again, that's not a bad thing. I'm not too fussed that it's not a new game I'm going to play every week. I've got enough of that, so it was good just to have my time with it. Go, well, I've given that a go, I enjoyed it, and put it away. And there's nothing wrong with that. A game doesn't have to be a platform for 6 years. It doesn't have to be that. Although, if business-wise, they probably want it to be, and that's where they might struggle. But Disc Jam, that is our verdict on it for the PlayStation 4, and you can also get it on Windows. My assumption is one day it will come to the Xbox One, but who knows when. But nothing more for us to say here apart from thanks for your time, and ta-da.